do you think you are? That's the question of the day. It's a new month, and we have a new theme. And last Easter, we coined a little term called Easter moment. So I decided to make that the theme for this month. And this term, Easter moments, means those moments when we are consciously and intentionally and deliberately letting something die that no longer serves us, so that we can be born again, born anew into a heightened spiritual awareness, a new consciousness, and an expanded way of connecting with our divine spiritual self, our true authentic self. So that's kind of the metaphysical meaning, which means beyond the physical, of what the resurrection was all about, and what many churches speak to during this month, and especially on Easter. And I do want to let you know that we're going to have our annual rose blessing the Sunday before Easter. So if you haven't been a part of that, it's a beautiful ceremony, and I hope that you will join us. So this month, what we're going to do is explore these Easter moments in various areas of our lives, and we're going to engage every week in a sacred activity to just kind of lock it in there for you. And also, we'll have some assignments. I need to come up with a better word than that you guys will go, wow, I really want to do that, for your week too, to really, really get it. So you probably noticed the little altar here this morning, and that's going to be a part of our sacred activity at the end of my talk today. So, who do you think you are? Perhaps who you think you are isn't who you truly are and what you are here to do and what that purpose is about. So we're going to explore that. And what I want to ask you is if you would be willing to have an Easter moment today so that you can let something die, let some thoughts pass through, so that you can enter that space of divine connection and purpose like maybe you've never had before. Would you like that? Yeah. Okay, good. You guys are always game. I love that. I've never had anybody go, no, I really don't want to do that, Dyann. So that's good. You all are excellent students. So I usually like to start with a story, and so I'll do that today by telling you about this little boy named Sparky. And this is a true story. He had a hard time. School was almost impossible for him, and he flunked 8th grade. And when he went into high school, he flunked algebra, Latin, physics, English, and he just had a really, really difficult time. And he didn't do much better in sports either. He did actually make the golf team, but he lost his first, do they call them matches in golf? Okay, yeah. He lost that. And throughout his entire youth, he was just so socially awkward. And it wasn't like he was disliked by the other students. It was more like they just sort of ignored him. And so he was kind of astonished if anybody outside of school even said hello to him. So there's no way to know what his dating life would have been like because he was too terrified to ask anyone out on a date in high school. Sparky was a loser. He knew it. His classmates knew it. Everyone knew it. So he rolled with it. However, one important thing to say about Sparky, and he was proud of this too, is we might even say it had something to do with his purpose, is that he loved drawing. And he was proud of his artwork, and when the student yearbook, his senior year, was putting all that together, he sent some of his drawings to the yearbook editors, and they rejected him. So despite that, he was convinced of his own ability. And so he decided to go ahead and become a professional artist. And after completing high school, he wrote a letter to the Walt Disney Studios, and he was told to send some samples of his work, and they sent him some possible cartoons to do, so he worked really hard on that. And he spent a great deal of time on this, and he sent it back to them, and he waited a long time, and finally they contacted him, and as you might guess, he was rejected again. And here was another loss for the loser. So Sparky decided that he was going to start writing his story in cartoons. And he decided to make it like an autobiographical cartoon, and he described his childhood self. A little boy loser who was a chronic underachiever. He was a little boy whose kite wouldn't fly and who never succeeded in kicking a football. And this little cartoon character would soon become famous worldwide, for that little character was Charlie Brown, and Sparky was the late, great Charles Schulz. And of course, the comic strip Peanuts. So, who do you think you are? Seneca, a Roman philosopher at the time of Jesus, said, "Who you think you are is much more important than who anybody else thinks you are." And see, one of the things about Sparky is even though he had this erroneous thought that he was a loser, he had two really important things going for him. First, he had a certain attitude about life, and that was if things are meant to work out, they will. He also had a passion that he chose to pursue regardless of others' opinions of his art. And that made all the difference for him and the world. We still enjoy it. Because think about it, what would our world be like without Charlie Brown, Linus, Lucy, Peppermint Patty, Pigpen, Beethoven, and of course, Snoopy? And where would the world be without you? Where would the world be without you? There would be a void, an empty space that would never be filled because only you can fill it. Jean McGee, who said she drove 90 miles an hour to get to here today because she was so excited. And I said, you know, it would be really a drag if you died in a car wreck after all you've been through. So drive the speed limit. So I want you to begin thinking about Easter moments this morning and think about what belief do you have about yourself that you're ready to let die this morning so that you can have a spiritual awakening, an expanded consciousness, and be in conscious communion, expressing the divine that you are. In his book, Know Yourself, Ernest Holmes writes, "The insistent and universal desire for self-expression is the divine urge. It's God tapping at the walls of our heart, urging us to live a fuller life." So what can you let die so that you can clearly hear God tapping at the walls of your own heart? Is it a belief that you're less than, or that you compare yourself to other people? Have you ever found yourself doing that? Maybe they have more education or more money or more beauty or more talent or more success. And have you ever noticed how that makes you feel? There's a great line that comes from an ancient philosophy that simply says, comparison is the death of joy. Isn't that true? It's like, you're like this, and then, oh God, I wish I had what she had, and just shuts you down, just closes the heart. So you and I are not here to compare ourselves to anybody else, and you're certainly not here to imitate or duplicate what another person is or has. You're meant to be a unique, one-of-a-kind expression of God, and God doesn't need two of anything, because that would be redundant and duplicative. Is that a word? I don't know. Okay, so neither of which serves this unfolding and expansive nature of the divine coming forth and expressing as you. So that might be one thing. Comparing yourself to others might be something you're ready to let die. Or has there been past mistakes that you let label you? Something that you let define you that you're still carrying. Maybe you're ready to let that die this morning. On the Sermon of the Mount, we're told that God makes the sun rise on the evil and the good, sends rain on the just and unjust. And what does that mean? That means that you are so blessed and so unconditionally loved no matter what. No matter what you've done, you're just loved. So, what about self-image? A limiting concept of yourself. This is a huge block to your good and to revealing your true spiritual nature. What about a habit that's just draining your life force? Something that you're just ready, it doesn't serve you anymore, and you just want to let it go. Or that voice that is not the voice that loves you, that might be a teacher's or a parent's or an ex-spouse's. Somebody said to you something like, "Don't you dare," and you fill in the blank. God, that's powerful, isn't it? Don't you dare, whatever that is. There was a Cadillac commercial during the Oscars one year that I think would rival any Super Bowl commercial. And we'll just call it the Don't You Dare commercial. And there was a series of shots of young adults who are doing incredible and amazing things. In this, but despite that, or maybe because of that, it came from somebody telling them, "Don't you dare." Does anybody remember that commercial? Okay, well, you're in luck because I have it today. Only those who dare drive the world forward. So, this morning, will you dare to have an Easter moment so that you too will be one of those amazing people who drives the world forward? So, we're just going to kind of go into a little bit of a meditation, prayerful contemplation. As Ernest Holmes once said, review the past and try to find out just what you've been thinking and doing to create this burden in your mind. And as you think about that, I want you to just write it on your card. And when you identify it and you write it on your card, I want you just to come forward and just honor yourself and honor for the ways in which perhaps that has served you. And I want you to tear your card in half and place it face down in the basket. And take 2 affirmation cards. One is for you, and one is for you to gift to someone in your life that you just feel impelled or guided to give it to. And I'll just ask that we just remain in silence until everyone's completed this, and then I'll talk with you about what I'd like you to do this week to just make it even more powerful. I want you to contemplate what's on this card and the specific words that were chosen to communicate this idea. For instance, I'm willing to be all that it takes. Be as opposed to I'm willing to do. You know, just little subtle things like that. Just contemplate what this means to you. And then what I'd like you to do is, and I think I have the next card, so if you want to take a picture of it with your phone so that you've got your assignment, your gift for the week. Yeah, I'll come up with something. But I want you to make a list after you come out of this contemplation of all the things you think you need to be in order to have what you say you want. Does that make sense? So a list of all the things that you would need to be in order to be living the vision that you hold for yourself. And then what I want you to do is to acknowledge where you're challenged, but I don't want you to work on that. I want you to just acknowledge it and maybe give thanks for the ways in which it served you, but you're willing to let that go for now. But rather, what I want you to do is to find in yourself examples of where you already are the things that you need to be in order to have the vision that you want. Because what I'll tell you is that you already have it all within you. So I want you to prove it to yourself. I want you to show yourself so that you can claim those things that you already are. Does that make sense? And to give like 3 examples in your life that have happened or occurred that show you where you already are that. Okay? And then what I want you to do is to just ask Spirit to show you who would benefit from this card and perhaps this exercise that you could share with. Okay? Who's on board? Yeah. All right. Okay, good. So what I want you to do is do that this week and then come back next week so we can get a sense of what that was like for you, and then we're going to have a new lesson with another deepening sacred activity to just help you, because what we want more than anything is for you to be happy, healthy, loving your life, and just shining and doing what it is you love and what you came here to do that is a blessing for you and for everybody else in the world. And we want to support you in that. We want to inspire you. We want to empower you. We want to awaken you to your incredible spiritual magnificence. Are you ready? Yes. Okay, so it is.